I have to laugh. I can't even introduce the show. What's up? This is the Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. Norm with Mike. It is May 9th, 2020. The series is tied at 2. A nice tidy 2. Each team has won 2 apiece. And, Tampa picking up a Game 4 victory. A nice tidy 7-3 win. They did their best. The Leafs did their best. And here we are, tied at 2 apiece. And if the flow of the series so far is any indication, we should expect a Game 5 win. Right, Mike?
Should we?
Hey, sir, how are you?
Should we? Good evening. Well, let's just say this. I mean, I can't put the positive spin on the last couple games better the last game than Sheldon Keefe did yesterday, where he said, well, we'll just flush this. We got what we needed. We got a split in Tampa, and now it's a best of 3 with home ice, us having home ice advantage. Well, home ice advantage really doesn't mean anything since you split in both places. So, it's great, but now, okay, you've shown up for 2 games and you played really great in Game 1 and Game 3, and you played really terrible in Game 2 and Game 4. Now, Game 2, it took them, they played a good first period, and then Hedman's goal, made the air escape, and then it was pretty much a Tampa domination. And Game 4 was a cluster. It was, it's like I was concentrating on Mother's Day duties and watching the game with one eye. And before it's 8 minutes, it's 3-0 Tampa, and you get to the point where, why do you even bother keep watching? No, I have to because it's my job.
Yeah.
And the issue here is, and I brought this up in my column today, you can lose. You can go in the playoffs, and you may not be the best team. You can lose, but sometimes it's the way you lose.
Mm-hmm.
And this team, it was a no-show in a game where they could go up 3-1 in a series against a team that has got more experience and a couple championships. The Leafs have something.
Those championships didn't count, though, Mike, because,
whatever. The Leafs have something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, they played like somebody who already proved it. Why? Because you won 2 games in the series? No, you have to win the damn series. And Tampa played with hunger, and Toronto were meek and really did not show up until it was way too late. So that's a trend that I think is disturbing, especially for a team that should be balls out, trying,
right?
And that I cannot, and I of course will have thoughts on a few different players. I cannot say that it was one player who cost them this game. This was a multi-system failure. This was not Campbell. This was not the defense. This was not the four. It was everybody. It was a stink bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I say here is, show me, like I've been saying all series, if you're going to win this series, if you're going to say that this team is good and you're going to move out of the first round and play in the second round, now show me. Game 5 at Scotiabank Arena, everything on the line. You've got to win 2 games of the next 3. Show me. I'd be more than glad to watch this team stand on their heads and have a great performance, but I won't believe it until I see it.
This is the Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. Will 85, Tony's Dark Nightmares. We're all having nightmares about the Leafs right now. Mr. Chris Daniels, that guy is as dedicated as it comes when it comes to the Leafs Convo. Cal Morale, J.A. Scott is here, and the StreamYard Duck. So we appreciate all of your presence at this time. We can, the D words that we should be using to describe this team's play: dominant, determined, desperate, but disastrous and dastardly and detrimental.
How about damn?
I'm not. What's that?
How about damn? Damn.
The thing is, Mike, should we be surprised? Because the Leafs are showing traits that they demonstrated
Well,
during the regular season. Were they as contrasting on a nightly basis? No, but we've seen the team be dominant and then give it all back and win in overtime. We've seen the team go down 4 goals and then come back and win it in the third period. The thing about it now, though, is with this series, we're seeing the negative traits, we're seeing the positive traits. The question is, at what point, do we get to where the Leafs can either show their worth and win a series, or show the ugly side and lose a series? Based on where we're at right now, if this goes to Game 7 and all follows the plan, the Leafs should win in Game 7. It's been off on. However, it's as you said, the way the team lost last night gives us this indication that the worst could be yet to come, right? And if you are not prepared and playing with desperation at this point right now, as a team like the Leafs need to be, and I'm sorry, don't mail it in because you're down 5-0. I mean, how do you improve upon that and get to a level that suggests you're ready for not only prime time, but to maybe win a fucking Stanley Cup? When you're losing in the fashion you do, you're falling behind so quickly, you're being dominated by a team. Like, I'm sorry, like if this is just some sort of strategy as you push forward, and don't worry, all will be well, you're going to run out of time. Right? It was just super ugly, and I can understand why fans are so cringy right now, why fans are so upset. I certainly empathize with them, but this team has taken us to the highs and dragged us to the lows, so the expectation is, just buckle up, and who knows what's tomorrow.
Well, this game made me harken back to last year, because now you're 4 games in. John Tavares, and I'm not laying blame on one player, but I'm just going to say John Tavares has 2 fairly meaningless assists. William Nylander for 3 2/3 games was a complete no-show. And
2 goals last night, boss, and like 10 expected goals.
3 2/3 games.
So he set the record last night for most expected goals in the history of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs.
He scored 2 goals at garbage time.
I know. Austin Matthews has 6 points. Well, where was he last night? Where was Marner last night?
Let me list them off. So Matthews, great game 1, good game 2. Game 3 and Game 4, Marner and Matthews have been put in check by Cirelli, Point, and Killorn. Okay, so they win Game 3 basically on the power of 1 power play goal and goal scoring from their 3rd line and 4th line. Okay, you need to do that. You need to have secondary scoring. But the whole point of secondary scoring is to support the primary scoring. And like last year, now you can't blame Tavares because he was injured. Nylander picked up the slack last year. He's not doing that this year, up until the 3rd period of Game 4. And Marner and Matthews have been squelched. So in a series where the 2 games that they lost, they gave Tampa Bay 15 power plays. 15. And the Leafs have had sizable amount of power plays as well. This is basically a special team series. And because the Leafs are taking so many penalties, they can't get Matthews and they can't get Tavares on the ice enough to make a difference. So, I mean, really, there are a couple of comments in the chat here.
No, we'll get to them, Mike. Just finish your point.
Yeah. So, I mean, the point here is, the adage that I referenced in my column today was the more things change, the more they stay the same. Now, again, prove it to me. Show me that you're different. I believe me, I would welcome seeing it. But right now, in spite of the, some additions that have played well, in spite of this team being deeper and maybe more talented, they're in the same spot.
Right.
And the stat that Elliot Friedman came up with yesterday was unbelievable, and it shows where this team is and maybe the mental block that they have over the 5 years and now this series. that the Leafs have been in the playoffs in the Matthews, Marner, Nylander era, the Shanahan era, as you call it, when they've been ahead in a playoff series, their record is 1-8. They cannot finish.
Right.
This team has to show that they can finish. Show me.
Right. And the thing is, you can't suggest the opposition plays into that outcome based on how good the opposition is. They could have beaten Columbus in the bubble. They didn't. Montreal, come on, you're up 3-1 and then you lose your nerve. Now you're taking on a Tampa team that a lot of Leaf fans think is overrated and doesn't want to give credit to, based on the fact that Tampa took advantage of the climate and won, a COVID shortened season and then a reconfigured season, as if we as Leaf fans wouldn't have taken that for our team. Right. So it's frustrating because the Leafs do show glimpses and then they regret. It's just happening night in and night out. It's up and down, up and down. And we may be looking back in a month time and say, geez, can you remember that first round series, the highs and the lows, the euphoria, the depression, and here we are all the way near the end. And this is just Maple Leafs hockey, but you can understand where, the frustration starts to build in guys like myself and Mike. Oh, geez, we're talking to you, just based on everything we've seen. And now we're here and we'll believe it when we see it. I wanted to bring up this team stats. So the thing is, they got crushed last night and they were just done away with early in the game. And that was pretty much it. But the team stats, if you were just to look at the team stats minus the score, you'd be like, okay, the Leafs were outshot by 3 goals. They won in the face-off circle pretty dominantly, 1 for 3 on the power play, 30 penalty minutes. They should have doubled that and just, whacked the shit out of Tampa as they were down 5-0, just to send a message, just for the hell of it, right?
Who? Who's going to do that?
I understand that, but that's what Tampa did in Game 1. Said, all right, we're going to lose this game, so I know the Leafs aren't built that way.
Right, exactly. Tampa has players in their top 6, in their top 9, and on their fourth line, and on defense that will, punch you in the face, that will jab you, that will stick you. Even when they're down 5-0, what do you think they did? They did that in the game in Game 1.
Right.
They were up 5-0, and they can.
Well, listen, I've heard there's an internal memo that the Leafs changed their uniforms to unitards and tights with sequins. Right. It's just, I don't know. The lack of pushback is disgusting. I'm going to bring it up again. That's just whether the team is winning 3-0, shove it in that opposition's face. If you're down 3-0, shove it in the opposition's face. It's called hockey. It's called playoff hockey. That's what championship teams do. They're not afraid to do it. They're not afraid to take penalties because they understand that it's all part of the process, right? 40 hits last night, so it looked good on the team stats. 21 block shots, no giveaways. Tampa, on the contrary, only 32 hits, 8 block shots, 5 giveaways. So this thing went awry early, Mike. Jack Campbell wasn't ready for it, and that makes me even more frightened because if the goal, if I was going to bring up Carey Price, but if Jack Campbell becomes Carey Price and just leads a bunch of dummies all the way to a semifinal, that's one thing. But if this guy's not Carey Price yet, and we're relying on these other cats who don't want to play physical hockey and who are all world one day and then terrible the next, they may still win this series, but boy, oh boy, you've got to win 4 series to win a Stanley Cup. Make a couple points, then we'll get everybody else involved because there's a lot of people here who want to get a lot of shit off their chest, Michael.
I can't put the loss on Jack Campbell. I'll start with that. The one goal, the Ross Colton goal, where it basically looked like it went through his glove. That one is on him, but you can point to certain things. In the post game, and I give Stevens. I know a lot of people.
But don't dump on that yet because there.
Norm just froze. So I'm not sure what's going on, but he may be resetting his phone here. I'll just carry on with this and answer some of the some of the stuff in the chat here while he maybe resets his phone. Okay, Chris Daniel says Steve Simmons was the only reporter pointing out the obvious. Yeah, and that's the issue here. That was a situation, and I'm just checking here with Norm just to make sure. Froze said this is live stuff, guys, so apologize for that. Okay. Steve Simmons asked the question, why did you start the game with your worst defenseman on the ice? And Sheldon Keefe retorted, who was our worst defenseman? He said, Justin Hall. He says, well, that's not my opinion.
Hold on, I'm back now. Are we good?
Well, I was just filling here because Chris Daniels he'd asked the question about Steve Simmons, about the question about Justin Hall. And I said, Keefe answered it the way he should because he's got to defend his players. Right. But he's right. Steve Simmons is right. Steve, the Justin Hall, in my opinion, Justin Hall shouldn't even be in the lineup. Okay. Justin Hall should have been, Timothy Liljegren was the number 6 on this team playing with Giordano. And I know that they wanted Hall in the lineup because Hall is bigger and right-handed and experienced and he could kill penalties. He's not as mobile. He makes bad defensive decisions. He's responsible for Tampa's first goal by taking a penalty in Game 3, and now he's not whether he's playing or not. He's not solely the reason, right? But Steve Simmons asked the question, and Keefe really he defended his player, and that's the right thing to do. But it still doesn't. You put out that line, you put out your third line and your bottom pairing because Tampa put out the fourth line as the opening line in the game, and a minute into the game, that opening line with then Stamkos jumps on the ice and they score, and then you're behind the 8 ball right away. And that is an issue. You've got to recover from that.
So, Mike, thanks for filling in. It looks like we're technically back on track here. The OGs in conference, man, I want to celebrate you for everything you guys do. It's so nice to have you along. This is like a group of people who love the Maple Leafs and who are with this team and who will show incredible adulation and excitement and euphoria and happiness when this team gives us something to be happy about and to be excited about and to celebrate. And maybe it will, but in this moment, come on, the idea that all was going to be okay, which it may indeed be, is ridiculous based on what we've seen. If we were doing a podcast a month, we could look back on everything or do, reaction to what happened most recently. But this is night in and night out. For us to think, it's going to be okay. What makes you think it's all going to be okay other than the pattern of this series? And at some point, that pattern is going to be disrupted. James Janke, a complete game start to finish is what the Leafs need. Keep the pedal to the metal. James is pretty much the only guy who's positive here right now. Johnny had an interesting comment, or was it Death Punch 2335? Welcome there, Mr. Death Punch. I had to call the police to file a missing persons report. John Tavares hasn't been seen or heard from since the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs. John got nailed in the face, and I guess he didn't do anything to fight back. What is it about this team and this lack of pushback, this lack of fight? Don't you think Nylander's starting to get pissed off with the way people think he is? Isn't he starting to get pissed off with the fact that he just can't seem to get over the hump?
I think what they're
who cares if he can't fight? I've seen Curry and Gretzky fighting.
I think what they've been told is we want the penalties, turn the other cheek.
Wow.
And, now the thing is, I don't know.
You'll still get the penalties.
I don't know what's going to do and what's going to happen in the sense of Game 5, whether they'll put Simmons or Clifford back in the lineup. They may not. If they do, I think that's an admission that sitting both of them on the road was a mistake because, you're allowing Corey Perry and Patrick Maroon and Sergachev and a few of the other bigger physical players to run amok. And it's like you need accountability there. And if Simmons or Clifford is out there, now you don't want them to do something stupid like Simmons did with 2 penalties in Game 2 or Clifford with his hit on Colton in Game 1, but you want them out there as deterrents. And, you saw one of the things you saw at the end of the game. What was Tampa doing? they were egging Bunting. They were trying to get under his skin. They were trying to get him to do something stupid. Bunting is not at 100%. The Leafs have shifted him to the fourth line, then put him back on the first line. I don't know where he's going to be placed, but that's what championship teams do. They find a weakness and they take advantage.
Jesse James Anger, the Leafs frustrate me as much as anyone, but I don't understand the doom and gloom just yet. Jesse, you know why we're up. Everybody's freaking out because last night's game sucked. If it were knock them down, drag them out in 6 or 7 periods, it would be a lot easier to digest. He's right, though. It's a best of 3, and the Leafs have home ice advantage. Technically, they might do away with them in the next 2 games, and that's that. But based on what we've seen last night and what we've seen already in the series and what we know of the Leafs, you can understand why there's anxiety, brother. You know that. You know that, man. You've got to be able to admit that.
I had somebody tweet me after the game yesterday, saying, they used to listen to me on Leaf Talk, and what's happened with me being so negative and doom and gloom like the Jesse James just said, and I'm like, okay, when I was a caller, and I wasn't
the Leafs were terrible back in those days.
When I was a caller, I was advocating them tanking. I was begging them to lose because them being in the middle of the pack prevented them from getting, Tavares or Stamkos in the draft, and they ended up with Nazem Kadri and Luke Shen. So, I don't know. And, why are we doom and gloom? Because this team has not won a first round match in 18 years. Why? Because they have so much talent and they don't show up. Now, like I said, the past is the past. Mm-hmm. This team can do nothing about that. They have 3 games. Show me. That should be the title of this damn show. Show me. You're
giving me ideas, my brother.
Sorry.
Show me. Brought to you by
Rich Ford, where you can get a Ford.
Hey, hold on. Oh my gosh. We got to go through the comments, guys, because this show really is about you. JJA. He's not going to watch Game 7 if there is one. He's going to the cottage. He's not going to let the Leafs ruin his weekend. OG's converts, if given the choice of watching in that major moment or going to do something that is therapeutic for your soul, which would you take? Are we that masochistic, right? Do we?
And it's got to be on Saturday night. It's got to be Saturday night, Game 7. Yeah. They just set it up, and I will give the group of fans at Maple Leaf Square a lot of credit because down 5-0, they were still there. They were still now. Maybe they were there to buy beer. I don't know. All I know is they were still there.
Go party, like what are you doing? Hanging out with your Leaf jersey? Go do something. Hit a club.
Yeah, but I give them credit. They stuck around. Around. Now, it would be nice if their team gave them something legitimate to celebrate, and we'll see. Maybe they will.
Michael Matthew, nothing worse than having COVID and watching that last debacle.
I hope you're feeling better, my
brother. Thanks for being here, and you'll be on the men soon, and hopefully the Leafs can help bring you back to good spirits with some great play. The thing is, though, Mike, they win Game 5, right? They recapture some of that goodwill. What are we expecting in Game 6, right? We haven't seen them go. Yeah, we haven't seen them really accomplish the kill yet. Mm-hmm. But as much as we're on them, maybe this is just all part of the plan, man. Just struggle through the first round against a really tough team, and then it's lights out. Or are we kidding ourselves based on the construction and composition of this team? If we understand this game, there's no way in hell that this fucking team can win 16 times over the next month and a bit and capture a Stanley Cup with this personnel, the way it's constructed, with this philosophy of play. Is it possible, Mike? Because they're still in it, brother. Tied 2-2 with the defending Stanley Cup champs. But are we kidding ourselves even if they win Game 3 thinking that, maybe this is the year?
Well, Kevin Allen made a good point today on the Buzzcast when I was railing on this game, and he said, basically, I'm not giving Tampa any credit. No, I'm giving Tampa a lot of credit. Now, Tampa didn't show up in Game 1, and the Leafs were the better team in Game 3. But, Tampa's a good team, and I expect Tampa with Stamkos and Point and Killorn and Palat and all these, the guys who've got 2 rings. I expect them to put up the kind of effort that they put in Game 2 and Game 4. And the Leafs should too. The point is you have to beat them when they're playing at that level. And right now, the Leafs have not shown, the Leafs have benefited from the fact that Tampa has not played well in 2 games. That normally doesn't happen. But what Toronto has to do is beat Tampa when they're good.
Right.
And I mean, I will bet you that tomorrow Tampa will play at a certain level, and it's going to be up to Toronto to beat them at that level. If Tampa plays badly like they did in Game 1 and Game 3, then, and the Leafs win, more power to them. But they have to expect that a team with this pedigree is going to show up, and they have to show up as well.
Jim Bianchini says he's got COVID too. Jim sent me a message today while I was in the general manager's office trying to do another car deal. Because that's all I was thinking about today are car deals, not hockey games that I was totally disappointed in. Jim, he's wondering should they just elevate William Nylander to the first line with Matthews? Is it time to, Jim, I'm not knocking you, buddy, but again, really, I take a guy who can't take a hit, who's afraid of his own shadow and just doesn't seem to play. He doesn't play enough defense, isn't committed enough, and put him on the first line at this point right now. I'm sorry. I just think that it's not even about retribution or showing Nylander that, you're not allowed to play in the first line because you're not committed enough. But then again, it is, right, Mike? Take a guy who leaves so much to be desired, put him up on the first line, bring Marner down to the second line to get Tavares going. At this point, I mean,
the one advantage. Okay, first of all, that's not going to happen. I don't think they're going to split up Matthews and Marner. What Matthews and Marner have to do is fight through, and beat. Now, they have the last change in Game 5. So if Keefe wants to shift and avoid that Killorn Cirelli point line, then he has the last change. He can do it. But traditionally, Keefe has said, I'm just going to throw out my guys and see what happens.
He's not worried about the matchups, is he?
Well, they should, because right now that line has been dominating the Matthews-Marner line. And, yeah, okay. Imagine if I was.
I just put Mike. I'm just putting those up to let everybody have their say while you're talking. It's kind of like a lower third scroll with just the latest information as you're going. This is like the CP24 of
but
mediocre Maple Leafs podcast. Keep going.
But I mean, I honestly think that there will be. Well, at least one lineup change. I would, they didn't practice. They flew back today. I would think that Liljegren will be back in and Hall will be out, but we won't know until the morning skate tomorrow, and I'll be up in Toronto covering that. Maybe Simmons, maybe Clifford get back in the lineup. Maybe they sit Spezza. A lot of maybes there. Maybe Kerfoot plays on the top line. There has to be a little bit of a change.
Oh, man. Sheldon Keefe doesn't take – these guys take no heat. Seriously, the heat on this team was way worse than it is now, right? We're in an age now where you can't say anything mean about anybody, and get out of here. Sheldon Keefe he's a throwback, man. And he should be able to take that heat, right? We can't say anything terrible about any. The media is so much nicer than it is. Half of those guys who remember when it was nasty are so fucking old now. They're just half of these guys are just in it still for the roast beef dinner. Right, or whatever the media dinner that's available to them is still just hanging on. They don't have no bite left. So for as much as everybody thinks Simmons is an asshole, he's still there and he works for a polarizing paper. And that's his job, right?
Okay.
Hold on a sec. But Mike, I was in media forever too, man. You can't, I understand it, right? I'm just saying he's asking questions a lot of people are already thinking. Whereas you get a lot of the, like, not you, but a lot of the younger guys in there, they're still starstruck to be in that circumstance. So Simmons is trying to get things going, trying to be sensational. And in this moment, that was the perfect time to ask that question, because the Leafs got the shit kicked out of them, and Justin Holl looked like he was out of place.
He has the gravitas to ask
right.
that question. And that's the thing. I respect Steve Simmons. I'm not friendly with him, but he knows who I am. I know who he is, and we say hello. And
he doesn't care. I give him credit for that, whether I like him or not. He just doesn't care.
He's been in the media business for 35 years. He's going to ask the tough questions. It's up to the coach. It's up to the players to answer those questions. And if you get upset, that's too bad. But he's got a job to do. And honestly, I mean, you could say there was, like I said, it was more than just one error.
You want Nylander on the first line. That first line's everything, right? I mean, sure, he might be able to pass the puck a little bit, but as of last night, that debacle but near the goal line at his own end. So it's like, well, let's put him on the first line now. I'm sorry, no.
Simmons wants answers. The media want answers. Now. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen the next 3 games. I'm not Nostradamus. I can't do this, put up my finger and say, we don't know. We don't know, because we don't know what team is going to show up tomorrow. Okay. It could be the team that won in game 1. It could be the team that won in game 3. And if it is, then people at Scotiabank Arena will be doing huzzas and handsprings down the steps and in the walkways, but we don't know. We don't know. And see, that's the thing. It's like, I think that's one of the issues. We don't know
exactly
what team is going to show up.
You're right. We
don't know.
What did you call Nylander? Jekyll and Mr.
No, Dr. Nylander, Mr. Willie.
Yeah.
And
the team in a larger way is Dr. Leafy and Mr. Lethal, or whoever you want. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying, Mike?
They're schizophrenic.
Right.
They really are. And apologies to all the schizophrenics out there, but no, really, they're just. I mean, you don't know what team is going to show up, and like I said, I'm not giving Tampa enough credit. No, Tampa is a great team. To beat a great team, you have to be a great team.
Does Tampa have, the thing is that this is big for both of these organizations. For the Leafs, you've got to win a first round series at some point. But we know that Tampa's really, really good. Maybe this isn't the time, right? And the Tampa's got a lot riding on it too, because I'm sure those guys are thinking, let's repeat. We did it in a shortened situation. We did it in a modified situation. Now let's do it when everything is back to normal. And they still have a lot of the cast of characters who were successful, who have that pedigree and who understand what it takes. So they don't want to get knocked off by a team like the Leafs that everybody thinks it's going to lose its nerve, right? So there's a lot riding on both of these teams, and the outcome for either one in this situation. Does Tampa have what it takes to knock the Leafs out? Because look, for as much as the Leafs have been up and down, Tampa's been up and down too, haven't they?
Yeah, well, they have. And, but of course I'm focused on the Toronto perspective.
But I know that, but just relating to the opposition, the Leafs aren't, the Leafs aren't on an island, are they? What is this? Anybody want to check out this nonsense? Is this what happens when you get popular? Like, people want to.
Yeah, no, this is some. Yeah, block that. Good job.
There we go.
Yeah, that's. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, no. I mean, Tampa is motivated to win a third straight Stanley Cup. The Islanders did it in the '80s. I think Edmonton won 3 straight, and two. Yeah, they won 2 in a row twice, and 1 in '90. The Islanders were the last one to do it, and I'm sure that is motivation for that team. So, I mean, we'll see, but I mean, again, I can't imagine that the Leafs won't be motivated to play that level that they played in game 1 and game 3. Whether, Tampa shows up, whether they, the Leafs get an early lead and they shrink, who knows? But I'm just saying right now, what's that?
Sorry, he's right. We're moving up. We are moving up. We've got 70 listeners now. This is great. Thanks, JJA, with some positivity for the podcast. Mike, that's amazing. Okay, so there's this commentary on how we assess everything and how negative we are, and okay, so we are poster children of this futile age, right, Mike?
Right.
Like, where's all the excitement supposed to come from? Where is all the exuberance and the hope supposed to come from? Mike, in the last how many years, what have we witnessed that has given us hope, or that has taken us on this long journey that we know will come to conclusion at some point with success? Mike, last point, we'll get out.
Beating the Islanders and Mike Pekka, beating Ottawa, and losing to Carolina was 20 years ago. Okay, that's all I have to say. If you want positivity about what this organization has done, you have to go back 2 decades. Okay, they haven't won a playoff series in 18 years, but 20 years ago they made it to the conference finals.
Right.
For an organization as historic and profitable as this is, that is a reason for criticism. So all I say is, show me. Game 5, series tied, show me.
They win in Game 5. I'm still expecting them to lose in Game 6 based on the pattern and the flow of this series.
First things first.
Every team that has taken a lead in this series has won the game. So if the Leafs fall behind in Game 5, I'll expect them to lose based on what I've seen, right? Because it's part of the pattern. I'm hoping, OGs, that all the negativity, because yesterday's game was so amazing and they did so well, I'm hoping it helps you get through the night, and then that you have others who feel the way you do. And if we're not projecting how you feel, then that's fair. But see this right here, we love the Maple Leafs, and if the team was up 3-0, we'd probably still be somewhat skeptical, because we haven't seen this team close out a series, but we'd be in a lot better place than we are right now. There's still time. But way this team is put together, the people on this team, and what we've seen so far, you can't tell me that this team is just chomping at the bit to win a Stanley Cup right now. It may, if it gets through this series, because things can change, mindsets evolve, and this team launches. But man, these next 2-3 games, this will tell the tale, not only for what happens in the interim, but certainly the long term as well. Mike, thanks for your time tonight. Anybody who posted in the community portion of the YouTube page, I apologize, I'm not able to get to you, but we'll try 2 nights time after Game 5 going into Game 6. Could be a clincher for the Leafs, could be a situation where they're hanging on for dear life to keep their season going. Guys, we're done. For Mike, I'm Norm. Talk to you in community.